Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on Daybreak this morning. Now, Nigeria, of course, continues to grapple with insecurity challenges. But then, in the midst of all of this, the Kaduna State government has launched an ambitious initiative aimed at addressing the root cause of violence and encouraging those involved in criminal activities to surrender their arms and reintegrate into the society. The Kaduna Amnesty Initiative is a comprehensive program that includes disarmament, also demobilization and reintegration of former combatants. The initiative also provides economic empowerment, education and vocational training to help former combatants rebuild their lives. But then beyond all of this, the specifics of the program, the initiative also represents a fundamental shift in the way Nigeria approaches insecurity. So for years now, the country has reeled on a military-led approach to addressing insecurity with mixed reactions. But the Kaduna Amnesty Initiative recognized that insecurity is often driven by deeper social and economic issues such as poverty, unemployment, and inequality. So by addressing these underlying issues now, this initiative aims to create a more sustainable and lasting peace. But is this initiative the panacea of or to insecurity in Kaduna State and Nigeria as a whole? This is, of course, what we are going to be addressing. So joining us today to provide insight and talk about, analyze this critical topic is Dr. Abdulrahman Abu Hamisu. He is a lecturer at the University of Abuja and a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Of course, always a pleasure to have you this morning. Let's talk about, this amnesty. We saw Kaduna State Governor come out with this initiative, and it has garnered a lot of reactions. What was your first take, your first thought that flashed through your mind when you heard of this?
Well, I want to congratulate the governor of Kaduna State for having this bold initiative. I know whatever you do, whether positive or negative, Nigerians will always talk, either from the position of knowledge or from the position of ignorance. I believe that any government anywhere in the world is constituted to solve a problem. And once you approach a problem from a particular point of view and you're not succeeding, if you've not attained the point of insanity, you've got to change gear. It's more or less like riding a car. When you realize that the gear cannot take you to your destination, that is why you have gear 1 to 5, in some other cases to 6, in some other cases for lorries and vehicles, you have up to 12 gears. So it all depends on the one you want to select. But we are used to something, and that is the way we are conditioned in this country to see crimes and criminality or criminal activities. And this is what is causing the reaction that you are seeing.
All right, let's talk about this take. Now, we give kudos, of course, for that for the governor to think about something new, another strategy. But then critics have argued that this amnesty program can embolden criminals and also undermine the rule of law. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that is how we are conditioned to believe, and we are behaving true to type. Even America, that we so much want to emulate, they tell you they don't negotiate with terrorists, but they are the ones that negotiate with terrorists. Go and check history. History will reveal a lot to you. I want to say this. When the federal government of Nigeria came up with an amnesty program for Boko Haram members, nothing Nigerians did not say. Some persons went overboard to say that the federal government of Nigeria was incentivizing crime by creating amnesty program for people that are supposed to die. Now, the amnesty program that was under the office of the NSA was supposed to assist in doing something. There are those that have been conscripted forcefully, and those persons are looking for opportunity to live. Now, you are buying arms, you are sending people's children, wives, people's husband, uncles, brothers to go and die in the battlefield. And in the process, some people are somewhere using the fight against the insurgency to steal money, not to even empower the soldiers in the field. So invariably, we are losing human resource. We are losing resources that are meant to fight Boko Haram insurgency. And then the federal government came up with the Operation Safe Corridor. for those that have been forcefully conscripted, for those that are tired of the whole thing and they would want to leave. But because the society has criminalized them, the society did not give them any room for repentance. The society want them dead out of revenge, out of lack of forgiveness. We're really against it. But today, go and check the records. How many of such persons have surrendered? Do you know what that has saved Nigeria? That has saved Nigeria, the personnel that have been killed on the battlefield by Boko Haram members. It has saved the environment. It has saved us resources. It has saved us the number of bullets that were raining in the environment and destroying the environment. Go and quantify the benefit of not having to chase, and the total number, as at the time I knew, the last number I know, apart from surrendering to Operation Safe Corridor, the last number I knew, about 15,000 fighters, including their farmers that were supporting them, did surrender to Borno State government. And do you know what that has done? How many thousands do Nigeria Army kill in a year? Can you tell us that? But within 6 months, all of these persons, totaling about 15,000, surrendered. So that is a kudos to federal government of Nigeria. It has saved a lot of people. It has saved a lot of community, because what the federal government has done is to decriminalize these persons to the extent that they feel safe, they feel secure to come. So instead of additional victims to be killed by these 15,000 people as they work in concert, a lot of people have been saved again, so that they don't become victims of these 15,000 persons. So that is kudos. Now, coming to what President Yar'Adua did in the Niger Delta. In the Niger Delta, there's something happened. When President Yar'Adua came in, Niger Delta was a cash cow. And people will come with a lot of proposals. And what are the proposals? To keep the fight going on because they were benefiting from it. They are the suppliers of weapons. They are the people that are buying the bunkered crude from these guys in the Niger Delta. They are the people that are equally supplying the other arms. And then they were benefiting from it.
In that, that point that you're making, there is an argument that the Niger Delta, militants were different from this banditry and terrorism that is, disturbing, the northern parts of the country. So what's your point on that?
My point on that is that they are all armed groups. They are fighting federal government of Nigeria. They are fighting the state government. And then what is the difference between two armed groups that pick up arms and they are fighting against the state, that are killing people, or that are taking expatriate hostage, or that are inflicting pains on the Nigerian army? It was a fight, because once you have a fight with the state, it is no longer the fight and fight between the bandits or the restive Niger Delta youth and Tinubu or President Buhari or former President Jonathan. No, it is between them and the security agencies. So it boils down to sending police there, sending the military there, sending civil defense there, and every day they get killed. In the process, they are complaining of not getting access to the required equipment. They don't get their allowances, as some of them have alleged. So if they are not primed to solve the problem, because this is the point, the state ought to subdue any group to the extent that they are not able to carry arms against the state. But if the state has failed and continue to fail, and there is no any progress in sight, then you've got to change your strategy. When President Yar'Adua came with the strategy of granting amnesty to the people of Niger Delta, to the restive youth in the Niger Delta, some people said he's pampering them and that he's going to escalate. But what happened? They escalated the situation. You know why? Because they became partners. Today, the contract to patrol our pipeline has been given to one of the leaders of the militant in the Niger Delta. Assuming they continue to criminalize him, to criminalize his people, and the organization he stands for, there will be no peace. There will be no development in the Niger Delta. By now, we would have packed our things out of Niger Delta. So what I'm opening our minds to is this, that in the event that the state is not able to impose its will on the people, on the arms group, then they ought to negotiate. And in negotiating, there must be framework. And that framework must include some clauses that says don't go back to it. How can we continue to fight bandits in the last 10 years and then we're not getting results? And you are still telling me that we should continue in that fashion. Okay. How?
Doctor,
who does that?
Let's talk on this negotiation that you talked on. Starting with conditions now. There is this skepticism in Nigerians' mind about how this negotiation would go and what conditions need to be met to achieve that objective. What do you think Nigeria's government stand should be when it comes to this negotiation table?
You see, first of all, what the negotiation would have done, would be that these persons are now deemed to have agreed to the first condition, that, okay, what they are doing is wrong. And look, let us start in the first instance. Majority of the people that we call bandit, if you ask Truji will tell you, these are the reasons why we are doing what we are doing. Dogo Yade and others, they will tell you these are the reasons why we are doing what we are doing. Now, the first condition will be, after this, there will be no going back to what you've been doing. And that from now onward, we will keep to our own part of the bargain, and then you keep to your own part of the bargain. For the Kaduna State government to have come with the initiative, including empowerment, it means that they've done their research and they understood that maybe this group of persons have been neglected over a period of time, and that they needed to be taken care of so that their grievances, because it's all about grievances. In any part of the world where you find all of this, if you deep dive into it, you'll find that there are grievances. And until you take these grievances away, the fight will continue. And what we will have will be a perpetual conflict, a cycle. And people will continue to die in the process. So for me, there is always something to learn. I've just given you 2 examples. I can give you more examples of crises that the court have not solved in this country. The military failed to solve it. If a Modakeke conflict that reached in the 1990s, it was not the court that solved it, because the court continued to give conflicting judgment that was escalating the process. What solved it? It was Ogboni confraternity. The confraternity, for that matter, that solved the problem. So in conflict and peace building, we are conditioned in this part of the world that the state must crush and crush and crush. That is the colonial belief. Now, these guys have access to weapons, grade A weapons, that even the military don't have some of them. And every day, they kill people, they kill our military personnel. So we are saying there should be a truce.
Okay, there should be a truce. I think that's a great way to round it up. It's great to have your perspective when Nigerians, a lot of them are pushing back saying it should not happen, but then you come in with reasons why we should at least try this angle. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdulrahman Abu Hamisu. It's always a pleasure having time with you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And of course, we'll wrap up this segment of the show talking about, the amnesty program that has been pushed, by the state government of Kaduna State. And I think there's an attempt of emulating it in other parts. But we'll keep our eye on this, and hopefully we get a better result out of this. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll dive into the front pages of the National Daily. So stay with us.